Welcome back to the Baby Captains. Picture this. Today, you go on board on a flight and you hear,
"Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard AI Flight 123 from New York to Spain. I'm AI 001, your fully automated captain today. No human pilots on board, just state-of-the-art AI ensuring a smooth and safe journey."
After hearing that announcement, would you choose to stay seated or get off?
And that's the debate that we're going to get into today. Are passengers ready for AI fully operated flights? We're going to go through pilot concerns and passenger concerns, technological advancements, and we're going to have some what-if scenarios.
Last but not least, it's going to be the passenger trust with the incoming future. Are you ready for a full AI flight? Let's be real. Flying is already an intimidating experience for some people. The passengers rely on the people up front to do some judgment calls, sounding decisions when things goes wrong.
We experience turbulence, weather, and things like that pilots have to make decisions on those. So for example, if we have experience in weather, maybe AI can run some calculations, that's true. But as pilots, we also make pilot decision making based on whatever is the safest that we can see.
Sensible decisions based on the scenario that we are putting on in certain phase of the flight.
So let's balance a little bit. Are you gonna trust the AI with some data and running calculations based on that, or some pilots that they will make decisions based on sensible decision making?
Based on personal opinion, we have manuals, checklists throughout our entire flight training. But manuals and checklists, they are not the perfect Bible for our flying. So sometimes when things goes wrong with certain phase of flight, there are us that came down to a judgment calls and then also some sounding constructive decisions that we will go off the script. But then that is always based on the safety of passengers, us, for all the people that within these operations.
Well, and I can relate a little bit here because we have a lot of data and we learn from previous experiences. But something that comes to my mind right now, it's based on a scenario in training. I remember one of the procedures that we had, it was like open the door. If you have X amount of things, just open the door and then evacuate. I remember with my instructors, they were like, would you really open the door and evacuate if you have something outside that is gonna trigger or it's gonna be something bad for your passengers? Would you do that? And the thing is, like, the manuals and the procedures keep changing with the time because we're getting new data. Yeah, we have the data, but we also have common sense from as humans. So we've made those decisions based on also common sense, because you'll be like, oh, if I have fire in front of me, I'm not gonna go run in front of the fire. But the procedure might say, like, it won't say run into the fire, but it will be like try to get out, but maybe you have fire outside. So that's common sense that we have, and that could be new data, and then that new data is not in the procedure yet. So AI. Let's go back to the previous question. Let's balance. Run AI with some statistics, and then let's run some common sense from human.
I like that, Gabriel. While AI was making a PA, based on my data telling me that open the door is the safest act to do right now, while we are having a fuel leaking on the engines and we don't know when that fire is going to cut out outside of the aircraft. So does that make sense to you guys? That balance not just with the book, but also with the common sense that the pilots have.
Let's go now with our second point. Technological advancements are going everywhere. We can see them in the medical field. We can see them in the aviation itself.
Drones.
Because we have autopilots, we have drones. In any field, we have seen improvements everywhere. And we're not going to lie, they are great. They are really there for us. We are helping them. But at least in the aviation industry, they are there, and pilots are always monitoring that everything is running according to what it's supposed to be.
I would say 90% right now, we are most likely going to be the supervising autopilots that doing their job throughout the entire flight. But then we are the one that actually monitoring whether things might go wrong. Believe me or not, if you have been flying, autopilots sometimes might do something weird on the fly.
And as our AI or technological advancement have been improving crazy. There has been times that we have an autopiloting up, so they still break down.
Yes.
And even though humans will break down too, like with pilot fatigue, sickness, and everything, we have a backup. But airplanes break down, then what do? We have a mechanic and we have to fix it, and then that takes a lot of time. Well, we already have backups of pilots there.
True. Let's switch a little bit of the gear right now. Think about, have you guys ever experienced what happened in 2024? July 2024 to be specific. That is a CrowdStrike issue worldwide, and it also affected aviation industry as well. And how it affected? I'm actually flying on that day. So Jess can share a little bit of the personal experience starting from 5 a.m. report time. So yeah, the CrowdStrike issues affected the aviation industry, grounded all the flights in the United States nationwide, including Americans United, Delta, you name it. Everyone was not allowed to even lift off to the sky. Why? Because they are afraid of us losing communications with the company. Right now, it's a cyber security attack with the software in the airlines company.
And something that I want to bring up, as we have technological improvements everywhere, there's also the other side, that the hackers, and there's new viruses, there's new malware, ransomware,
Agree.
and all of those things are improving too, and they will find a way to break into the system, and then something happened. Just as Jess mentioned, she was at the airport, and then
I was in the airport. Me and my captain walked to the gate, approaching to the gate agent, trying to start the flight that we are about to operate. The panic eye or the questioning eyes looking at us. Do you know what happened? We both was like, what happened?
Do you know what's going on? Like, they were just waking up, going to the airport, getting ready to go. They're like, what's going on? Do you know what's going on? It is nationwide. It's not your flight.
So yeah, the social medias or the internet has given all the informations, while we are the operating crew. We still have no clue what is going on until we were told by everybody, passengers, gate agents. But yeah, that can be an issue for the technological advancing right now. Can be an advantage for all the field and industry. But what if they goes wrong? Do we have a backup? And with an AI fully operating flights, what if they go wrong?
Yeah, because we have an AI. Is the backup gonna be AI too, or is gonna be a pilot checking those parameters?
Like it. So would you ever jump into a full AI and also back up with an AI operated flights?
So if you think, maybe cutting 1 or 2 pilots will save the company a lot of money, because we know that we just talk about salaries, and they are good salaries. So it will cut a lot of training. We will cut out, because a pilot has to be trained before he goes to the airline.
True.
Pilot has to do recurrency every single year before they keep flying, and all those, everything, it counts.
Operational
expenses, everything is gonna count. So we understand that it might be cheaper prices, but would you risk the cheaper price for a AI fully operated flight? Let us know in the comments.
Let's talk about our next topic. What if? So, what if we have a bird strike right after takeoff? We can talk about that with our Solly story.
First of all, we want to say, like, every bird strike is different, because it could depend on where it gets hit. So if you got a bird strike in front of the windshield, then that's a different issue. If you have a bird strike in the engine, and then I want to be a little bit more detailed. If you got a bird strike in your engine and then something breaks there, it's different. And if you have a bird strike outside and nothing breaks in there, so everything depends on the damage of the bird strike, and also how many systems get malfunction from there.
True. Also depends on the phase of flight. Yeah, how low you are, because that's gonna buy you some time. And with the system malfunctions or the total malfunctions of the engines that give the impact to the aircraft, that can also consume some time or deducted some time that the pilots can react upon those scenarios and then get the plane back into certain control.
And then going back to our Captain Sully, if you think, maybe he didn't have the data to land the airplane in a river.
Yes, there's no checklist, no manual telling him.
Totally different. And that's some common sense. In this case, the experience also that he brought, he was like, we don't have time to return to the field. Maybe the data was like, oh yeah, you have to land, try to go back to the field. But, there are certain times that you don't have that time. And Captain Sully, he was a human. He did the best that he could, and he did a great job.
Yep.
As all of you know.
He made the most sensible judgment at that point of time. Because if he continue, let's put it in that way, if he continues to go to a land, which is the field or the airport, then he might hit the city first before even get to the airport.
Let's just go back to the single pilot operations. If you think, they were trying to approve this in Europe, and they were really trying to, because this will save a lot of money to the airlines. Not only airlines, but a lot of things. Like the airlines get cheaper, like they only need one pilot, then the prices are gonna go lower. Well, that's supposed to happen, but
yeah, low maintenance costs.
But we have a story from last year. I believe it was a Lufthansa flight, but we had this flight last year where one of the pilots went to the restroom and the other pilot is supposed to stay in the flight deck. Well, the other pilot is in the flight deck. He got incapacitated. So the other pilot went to the restroom for 8 minutes while the other pilot was incapacitated. The airplane was flying by itself for about 10 minutes. If you think going back to one pilot is very risky already, going to zero pilots, I wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, that's why we have also backups. Yeah, we have one pilot, we have a second pilot, and this has happened a couple of times. I also think there was another story where something happened to one of the pilots, and then they asked if they have different pilot, and that pilot was doing the communications at least, because that's gonna reduce their workload.
Yes.
And
that is regarding to the Southwest flight, I think.
Was it a Southwest?
Yes, the captain was incapacitated, so they have an able body, which also a pilot, off-duty pilot, and then get into the cockpit and help the co-pilot to do the communications because he was not type rated with the aircraft. Mm-hmm. And then the co-pilot landed the plane safely.
So just something that you have to think and make that decision. Maybe you are ready for AI, because AI is great. We were asking questions to AI,
yes,
and AI was bringing great answers.
And let's talk about that. How about today? The scenario too is that we are human. Yeah, we will get tired. For example, both of us are commuter pilots. Mm-hmm. We sometimes need to go to our base 4 or 5 hours earlier just to show up at our report time, mm-hmm, to starting our day for our 4-day trip. The first day will always the most tired day for us to start off the trip. So what do you think, Gabriel? A tired pilot or AI that will never get tired?
I would say a good pilot, if it's tired, should call fatigue. Even if it's your day 1 or if it's your day 2 or day 3, no matter what, if you're tired, you should call fatigue.
He or she needs to know their personal minimums.
Yeah, you have to have your limitations, and then even if it's day 1 and you just get to the base, maybe you already had a pretty crazy night, or maybe you got sick, or you were not able to sleep right, and
family issues.
Something happens. Mm-hmm. If you're tired, you're tired for some reasons. We don't know. We don't care. Well, they ask you for a report, but nobody cares. Well, they shouldn't care.
They should care.
You're a professional person, and the company should trust you because they hire you and they train you. So a pilot report, it's just like some paperwork, but you were fatigued and that you just call it.
Yep, I totally agree there. You need to know your personal minimums and also human factors.
Yeah, and then you think AI doesn't get tired. Well, Tommy, the airplanes break all the time. Also, AI could break. There could be hackers. There could be things,
Yep.
There's always maintenance done to the AI and software and everything because of a reason.
Well, not just because of the virus. Whenever software updates, mm-hmm, our iPad, sometimes, just recently came through this. From a digital world, become a Stone Age era. Paper. So yeah, whenever we have a software updates, that might be some glitches. Same thing to go to with AI too. If fully AI operated flight, one broke down, another one is about to break down too. So yeah, would you ever consider this? Yep. Comment down below and share with us your opinion about it.
And just adding up to what happened to Jess, we are used to have an iPad and then do everything from the iPad. But sometimes the iPads break, sometimes there's no connectivity. Maybe the iPad is not working, maybe the system is not working in the airport, something, And then there's where we go to the previous thing that we used to do, print 50 pages and
Here you
to
go.
check everything, sign, and then go back to whatever we used to do. And we're not used to that because we started with iPads, but we do it, and that's a backup. And then we don't use the system. Now we use emails and then we use a printer, and
Yes.
it happens,
Mhm.
So things break down. Pilots get tired, we should call fatigue. So now
like
the
that.
question is, when does AI know that it's time to call fatigue?
True.
It doesn't know. Maybe the ones who created AI should know, but they will try to maximize their money. So I don't know. You tell me about it.
They will try to maximum the capacity or the usage
profit
of the AI until it is approaching the limit of it, and then it's gonna be a big problem. I can imagine that. Thinking about it already making me feeling like goosebumps.
Unfortunately, profit is very important in this world.
Well, last but not least, this comes down to our conclusions of the video. Maybe the world has already accepting AI world is dominating the world right now, the technological world.
Mm-hmm.
But are we, the humans, ready to accept that the fact the technological world is already now?
A good question will be, how much do you trust AI? How much do you trust technology? Maybe you trust it good enough. Like we are seeing cars driven by technology
Autonomous
without with an autonomous system. We don't see any more drivers. Not in a normal basis, but we are seeing that more often. And we're gonna keep seeing that. Now it's like, how much do you trust? Do you trust it in an airplane? Is it different than driving a car?
In a people-less or a human-less aircraft with 200 passengers, would you be one of them joining the flight?
And once again,
welcome aboard!